So what we are trying to say now, from this cash inflow, you will see that all these figures are not here. So for us to get this balance of cash, we have to pick it right from the cash flow statement. And what you are saying is that the cash flow in your balance sheet must agree to the closing cash flow in your cash flow statement. And this is the closing cash flow we have here, which we need to link together back to our balance sheet. So this figure now, you will see that this difference has disappeared because what we have done in year 2018 now agrees. If you go to 2019, the same thing, I will just need to drag it a bit, and you see that the same figure we have here is what we have here before, and now is that it's now disappeared. So 177 is the difference. Once I drag this, the cash also will appear here. Don't forget this figure I'm dragging is coming from cash flow statement. So if I drag everything right away, it means all the differences we have here will also disappear. That's why we put the check here to see if what you have done is all right. And that is the end of that. We have done the schedule, and this is the schedule to the statement or to the model, which we have taken our time to explain on how to calculate the schedule. So don't forget, if you start your own modeling, follow these formulas or manuals, or let's say manual that I have been able to build. So this will actually help you in building your own model. They are all the same thing. Just follow the formulas and you will be surprised that all your figures too will balance when you are through. So this is all you have to do when you are building your financial model. So now, before I continue, the last aspect to do now is to draw or to represent our information on this chart. So before I do that, I'm going to open this class for questions. If there's any question, anything that is not clear from any of the aspects, then we can treat that before we go to the next aspect of this training. So the class is open now. Unmute yourself. If you have any question, you can as well use chat box. Drop your question there. I will attend to it and we are good to go. So why I try to draw the line as usual.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Thank you so much for the effort put in to ensure that we are carried along.
Thank you, sir.
But honestly, I joined the class late and I'm behind, but I just believe that the video will be shared to us so that it will take my time to go through it again. But for now, I don't think I actually catch up, but I know I will when I listen to the video.
Okay. I make sure that I recorded the video. Not only you, some people are not also here, which I think they rely on that video because they are sure that the video will be available to them. So the video will also be available, if not today, because of the time now, it should be available tomorrow. So I will share the video with you and the materials and even this particular model we just finished. All you just have to do is to listen to the video and then click on each of these figures because they are all linked. So linking will also help you. Just double click, you will see where the linking is coming from and you are good to go. So if there's any question after class or during your own personal practice, you can always contact me so we'll discuss it together.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Very grateful.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, so if there's no other question, it means we can draw our chart now. If possible, let's see how we can draw our chart. So under this chart now, I'll be looking at two things. I'll be looking at two things to do. I would like to represent this chart to talk about revenue. I would also like to talk about the gross profit percentage. So I would like to talk about gross profit percentage, and then I would like to talk about the cash flow aspect of it. So that's what we are going to do now. So I'm going to do revenue and gross margin. So what are we going to do? Let's come back to this model. Let's come back to this model. So I will say revenue. So I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about revenue. And I want to talk about gross profit margin. So it depends on what you want the management to know when you are representing your information on graph. But the main thing that the management wants to know is their revenue. They like revenue. Management always want to know about their revenue and also want to know about the profit. So I will advise you combine those two together and use it to explain to them. So I will just pick the revenue right from the income statement. So I will pick the revenue from income statement. So which is this. So that won't give me headache. I will just drag it down with no issue. And we are good to go. Then I will combine that with gross profit. And how do we get gross profit? Can anyone help us to get the formula of gross profit? Hope I put the formula here anyway, so that, okay, I put it here. So that when you are checking the manual, it will also help you. So revenue divided by gross profit. So I can just say, go back to the, what is my revenue? Revenue is this, then divided by gross profit. The gross profit is 62, multiplied together is giving me this figure. So it should be in percentage, right? So if it's going to be on percentage, just click percentage and it gives us 162%. Then drag it down. All we are looking for is here already. So all we need to do now is to multiply, use those figures to represent our chart. But I think something is wrong with this percentage. Let me say this. This, then multiply by 100%. What do we get? Okay. I'm trying to do some things here. So what is the percentage of this figure? Let's use our normal calculation. What do we do? This will be gross profit. I mean the revenue. So revenue divided by gross profit. What do we get? This is 2. I want to try to use my calculator. I think something is wrong with that sheet. So let's use it here. This is revenue already. So let me just pick the gross profit. So the gross profit here is this. This divided by this give us 2. Then this 2 multiplied by 100. Okay, so this is where the mistake is from. Okay, so all we have to do now is to say the revenue, which we have already, divided by the gross profit. So it's going to be the other way around. So let's see what you have to do. So revenue, which is 25, then divided by the gross. We have these 2. So we have to make it as percentage, which we have done already. And let's format it. My system is hanging, so that's why I'm waiting. It's not loading. So let's drag it down to make the whole figure. All right. Okay, so we have the figures we have to use. And what are we going to do at this time? We are going to represent or make use of this figure to represent our information. And to represent the information, all we have to do is to make use of any of these figures. So I'm going to pick this now. I will just highlight the 2 and then go to a chart box. You can go to insert. I believe you are following the step. Go to insert when you have highlighted the figures. Then pick any chart of your choice to make use of. So in this case, I think I'll be making use of this chart. Let's say if I pick recommended, or let's pick this one. So let's pick this one and let's press OK. Now we have a chart here with us. Let me try to bring it down a bit to this corner. Okay, so let's click on this. We can remove the grid lines. Remove the grid lines, or let's leave that for now. So let's see all we have to do from here. We have series 1 and series 2. So let's see what you want to highlight all. From there, we have the line that will tell us what we actually have to do, which is this. So we have the series 1 and series 2. So depending on which figure you want to use to represent your information, then from there, we can make use of this. We can remove the grid lines. We'll always remove grid lines when we are working on financial modeling, so that our work will be neat, which we have done just now. Then we can actually change the title of our graph. So what will be the title of our graph? Depends on what we have on ground. So let me say title of our graph. Let's call this one revenue and revenue and profit margin, gross profit margin. Gross profit margin. So that is the title of the graph we have on ground. But we are not done yet. We have only picked this. So we have the series 1 and series 2. So let's go back to what we are trying to pick. And we set series. So the series 2 also have to be picked, and we say apply. Let's just wait. We said apply all. So it depends on which of the graph you actually want to use, and that won't be a problem when we get there. So what we are trying to say is that we have the percentage here. The percentage, this side actually stands for the gross margin, while the other side stands for revenue. So what we are saying here is this. Let me try to increase it. You will see that the gross margin actually moved. This line you are seeing is for gross margin. And that is why you see when I click on that line, is showing on the gross margin, showing that this is how the gross margin was moving. It was not stable. However, in the 20 in the line of 8, let's see which one is 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is in 2020, the revenue, the gross margin actually went up. So very high. You can actually change this figure to years. If you want to change this one to years, it's also possible. All you just have to do is to change it from here to what kind of things you want it to be there. So let's actually edit that and change it to the years we want it to be. maybe in 2020. So let's pick this one to be 2020. So let's take it to 2020 dates. Let it be in dates. So this is the first aspect of the graph we have been able to do. So you can take as many style as possible, as many design you like to put on that as you wish. This is just a basic thing on how to actually make the graph in that format. So if I want to edit it or I want to increase it, I can just say or add anything to it. If I want to make it actually more visible. So I want us to look at this all through till 9 o'clock before we actually close for the training. So let me see what I can do to this graph. This is what we have. So I'm actually talking about this. So you can click on it one by one and edit it as you want. So if you want it to go that way, no problem. If you want to add to it, no problem. Table or charts or axis, all this one are things you can actually add to it. Then other thing you can do is to increase it or to edit it depending on how you want it. If you want the revenue to be in this way, if you also want it to be in this format, it will also help you. And from here, you can see the gross margin, how it moves, and you can also see the revenue. So this will actually tell us more to the management on what to expect in the nearest future. That's not the end. We can actually look at our cash flow as well. So let's look at the cash flow aspect. What are the things we can look at? We can also represent our cash flow, that is the operating, the financing. So let me just try to write it, and then let's pick the figure where it comes from. So let's come here. Let's assume we also want to represent this figure. So I will just go there. In 2013, I will pick cash flow for operating cash flow. So I'll just come here, operating cash flow. I'll pick the last figure. Then for investing cash flow, I will just pick the last figure as well. This is investing. Then for financing, I will just pick the last figure. Financing is this. So I will just need to drag it down to this point. All the figure will appear. Drag it down to all these points. The figure will appear. And also drag this down to the last point. So we want to represent this information in graph or chart. So we've done the first one. Don't forget, just click on what you want to represent on chart. Go to the start. You can pick any choice of your bar you want to make use of. So let me pick this bar this time around. I think I should use this or this. Let's use this one. So I will need to pick and bring it down a bit to this column. Now, you will see that in each of these, I have 3 lines. Let me remove the grid lines. Let me remove the grade line first to make it clean. Okay, the grade line is out. Now, what is the title of this? Let's call this one cash flow. I think I have just 10 minutes more. So cash flow. Let's call it cash flow. So cash flow. Okay. So what you are saying is that you see that on each of these bars, we have 3 bars. One is talking about operating. The other one is talking about what again? It's talking about the let me click on it again. Blue line is talking about finance. Can you see it from then the second one, which is what is the color? That looks like a brown, or I don't really know color anyway. So let's click on it, see that it's talking about investment. The one that is white is talking about operating activities. So that is how they represent. And when do we have higher operating activities? We have it in year 10. That is 10 years to this time. That is when it's going to increase. So we can actually design it to also make more sense. So I'm going to click on this and go to the series. Or let me use this. So we can actually change this one. So that's 3. The third one should be what? Based on what we have before, the third one should be, I think, financing. So let's call it financing. Financing. And from there, we can see that we have changed this one to financing. Then let's go to series 2. Series 2 should be for what? Investing. So just come here, and series 2 also will be changed to investing. To investing activities. Then series 3, which is series 1, sorry, will be changed to operating, and we are good to go. So you see that from here now, the color we are using has been also changed. We use the name to also represent it. You can do as many as possible to also make your information more clearer to your management, to also make your presentation more professional. So let me click on this, and let's see what other thing we can add to it. You can as well add color to this. You can add color to it. Let me add like a deep blue, and you can see that everything is in deep blue now. But in this case, you are not to use colors that will disfigure your chart. Always leave it like this way. If you want to increase, you can actually increase your chart. You can increase it. You can make it more bigger than this. So I think with this now, we are good to go. We have been able to represent our information in a chart. We have been able to represent our cash flow also in a chart. Depending on how you want it, you can change it to anything you want. Like this now also, let me change this series 1 and series 2. I think series 1 should be for gross margin. Okay, series 1 should be for revenue. So let me change that one here as well. So series 1 is revenue. So let me say revenue. Then series 2 should be for gross margin, gross profit margin. And we are good to go. So you can see that from there now, we have adequate information. So the graph I'm actually having here depends on your own taste, on how you want your graph to look like when you are presenting it to the management. So I think with this now, we are good to go, and you can have your question if you have any question before we round it off this night. Do you have any questions before we end the meeting? Don't worry if there's any aspect you don't understand yet, just go back to the video, watch the linking one after the other, and follow the manual I have built to help you. That is the 3 areas you need to work on. So if there's no one, I'm going to send an assumption to you, which you are going to use to build your own model. Now look at it. I will assume everything in historical results are the same. I will not change anything concerning this historical result. The only thing I'm going to change is this assumption. And once I change this assumption, everything will change as well. Everything will change. Everything will change. But I may touch the historical aspect a bit. But don't worry, I will just make everything. You will start from raw data. I'm going to give you this raw data. I can adjust this raw data and then give you assumption by the size which you are going to follow. Then I will forward everything to you by tomorrow, latest tomorrow. So you have it before, let's say, evening. So I will send both video and the material and the project. I will not call it assignment. I will call it a project to work on. And then we communicate to each other as we do that. So if there's no question, it means you are clear. In the next 1 minute, let's hear something before I close it finally. Okay, definitely there's no question. So thank you very much for trusting us. We are very glad having you here. So thank you very much. We really appreciate. So I'm going to share everything as promised. Have a good night rest.
Thank you, sir.
Good night,
All
sir.
right,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.